Okay, so for everybody that's here, thank you for joining us for the announcement of the inaugural winners of the Global Raptor Research and Conservation Grant. I'm Kirsten. I'll be the host of today's event. We're really excited you could be here with us today to celebrate not just the three incredibly talented Raptor researchers who were awarded the grant this year, but also the many researchers who applied for the grant late last year. It was really tough competition. And none of this would be possible without your support. So thank you so much for investing in conservation and helping us make this possible for these folks. A few quick pieces of housekeeping. So this event is going to run for about 30 minutes or so. We wanted to keep it pretty brief. We'll also offer a brief Q&A at the end if you have questions about the grant and the process that we went through to award it. And you can use the Q&A or chat features to ask those questions, and then I will relay them to one of the other folks on our team. We won't be taking questions on the projects themselves because the researchers are best suited to answer those, and we don't have them set up to be able to answer those questions today. But each will be submitting reports on the impact the grant had on their work, and we look forward to sharing that with you in the near future. Finally, we are recording this presentation. Your name, video, and audio will not be shown, but we do want to allow anyone uncomfortable with recording to exit the presentation if that's not something that they'd like to do. So without any further delay, I am joined today by three members of the HawkWatch International team who will be presenting the awards. International Program Director, Dr. Evan Beakley, Conservation Biologist, Dr. Megan Murgatroyd, who's having some technical difficulties, so you'll just hear her today, and our Executive Director, Nikki Waitman. So Evan, thanks for sharing the winners with us today.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kirsten. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in, and welcome to HawkWatch's first ever announcement of the winners of the Global Raptor Research and Conservation Grant. HawkWatch is a nonprofit that's based in Utah, USA, focused on raptor research, conservation, and education, for those of you who may be new to HawkWatch. In 2019, HawkWatch launched a new international program, a broader kind of international component of the organization. And the overarching goals of the international program are to address raptor conservation priorities and knowledge gaps around the world while supporting local capacity and development. So that's some kind of just general background on the international program here. One of the initial goals of the international program at HawkWatch was to do a global analysis of all raptor species so that we could try to identify which raptor species and which regions of the world were in most need of investment. We did some research on this and published a paper in 2019 that helps to highlight some of these priorities. Some of the key findings of this research were that about 1/4 of raptor species have essentially never been researched. Further, globally, species at higher risk of extinction are actually much less studied than species that are at lower risk of extinction. And further, tropical regions of the world tend to have the highest diversity of raptors, and they also have much more raptors that are threatened with extinction than temperate regions. In this research paper, we also mapped raptor conservation priorities spatially, which are shown here, where warmer colors indicate higher priority areas for raptor conservation. Notably, these areas occur mainly in tropical regions of Central and South America, Africa, and South Asia. Importantly, this distribution of raptor conservation priorities falls disproportionate in countries with fewer economic resources. Generally, the costs of doing conservation work fall locally. For example, local NGOs, universities, or national governments will need to invest in doing conservation. But the benefits of conserving biodiversity really benefit all of humanity and all of the ecosystems of the world. So to overcome this imbalance, I believe we need to do a better job reallocating capacity and funding to the places that need it most. Doing so can help forward conservation while also promoting equity, diversity, and inclusion in the conservation community. I strongly believe that the world and all of our futures are intricately interconnected. One of the most clarifying examples of this comes from the recurring fires that are consuming the Amazon. Much of the Amazon falls within the confines of Brazil, a single country, but that forest provides essential oxygen to all of humanity. So conservation cannot be successful within one nation alone. It will require a global perspective and a global approach. So building off of this philosophy and our research findings, and to make a contribution to this idea of global conservation prioritization, we launched the Global Raptor Research and Conservation Grant. The basic guidelines of this grant are for applicants to target projects on high priority raptor species in high priority regions, and that the projects be led by local citizens. The inaugural deadline for proposals was December 31st, 2020. And this grant was funded by HawkWatch with support from our members and donors, including a generous donation by the Circle of Life Fund. We were really, really encouraged by the interest in this grant initiative, as exemplified by the quality and breadth of applications we received. In total, we received 54 applications, totaling nearly $133,000 in funding requests from 30 countries, all across South America, Africa, and South Asia. Proposed projects aim to target actions on many endangered and critically endangered species, such as the Madagascar fish eagle and forest owlet, and some species with only very scant scientific information available on them, such as the Congo bay owl and the Flores hawk eagle. We received 11 applications from South America, including applications from Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela. And you can see the breakdown of the different raptor groups that were represented in the proposals, like vultures, owls, falcons, as well as their extinction risk as determined by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. So many applications on endangered species and near threatened species. We received 9 applications from South Asia, including from India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Nepal, and Thailand. Again, a lot of projects on vultures, many critically endangered species that we received applications on in this region. And finally, we received 34 applications from Africa, including from 19 different countries. 3/4 of applications from Africa focused on critically endangered species, most of which were vultures. The review panel for the proposals was composed of 5 HawkWatch International science staff, and we took great care reviewing and rating the proposals over the past month. We evaluated proposals based on three main criteria, which were scientific rigor, the conservation impact, and the contribution to local capacity development of each proposal. So we are now really excited to announce the inaugural winners of the Global Raptor Research and Conservation Grant. We were able to fund 3 proposals, 1 each from Colombia, Ghana, and India. So I would now like to pass off the presentation to Dr. Megan Murgatroyd, who is HawkWatch's international conservation biologist, who is joining us from her home in South Africa, and she will be presenting the first award recipient. So take it away, Meg.
Thanks, Evan, and yeah, thanks again to everybody who's shown the interest in this grant. So I'm very happy to be able to introduce you all to Ana Maria Morales Canizares, who was born and raised in Colombia. She is a wildlife biologist, a falconer, and an environmental educator. She has a BS in fisheries and wildlife science and an MS from Arkansas Tech University. and her project focuses on the black and chestnut eagle. So since 2016, she's been working for quite a newly established organization at home in Colombia, Fundación Aguila de los Andes, or the Eagle Foundation of the Andes. And one of her main roles there has been the rehabilitation of injured raptors for release back into the wild. And she's also been responsible for creating a raptor education program and caring for captured raptors. And the black and chestnut eagle has been a special interest of hers since one was brought into the center in 2018 with a gunshot injury. It was actually a breeding adult female, and unfortunately it didn't survive. Black and chestnut eagles are persecuted because they've been known to take domestic chickens, and this is a main threat to the species alongside habitat loss. And persecution of raptors in general seems to be quite an issue in their region, and at least 16 eagles are known to have been shot and killed in the last 5 years. The black and chestnut eagle being of particular importance because they have a decreasing population trend, they're classified as endangered, and it's estimated that there's less than 1,000 adult individuals left in the wild, probably only a few hundred left in Colombia. So although the black and chestnut eagle, which was brought to them, didn't survive, the incident did at least inspire Anna to do something to reduce this conflict and to try and help the species survive in the wild. So the following year, she did a 5-day canopy access course to learn how to safely climb to their nests. She also secured 2 nest cameras through Idea Wild funding. Very few nests are known of the species in Colombia, but a local guide found one in 2018, and she's been working with him, and they've been observing it ever since. And now Anna aims to install her camera at the nest to learn more about the eagle's diet, so it can be properly quantified how much chickens they're consuming, and so that strategies to mitigate this conflict can be designed around her findings. The HawkWatch grant will help her buy a few additional pieces of equipment which is needed, and it will cover all of the field and travel costs associated with installing and servicing the cameras for a year. On completion, Anna will create posters to distribute to the local communities with information on the eagle's diet. And once enough information has been gathered, she also aims to write a scientific paper about their reproductive cycle and their diet. So yeah, HawkWatch are very proud to help Anna with this project, and we really wish her the very best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you, Meg. And congrats, Anna. We're really excited to be supporting your project. And then next, I'll pass the presentation off to Nikki Wayman, who is HawkWatch's Executive Director, and she'll be presenting the next awardee.
Thanks, Evan. So thank you all for joining us. We're incredibly excited to have this grant and to be able to support these biologists and conservationists in their endeavors. I'm really thrilled to present the award for Hemani Kahati. She's working in India and studying red-headed vultures. When I read her bio, I was really inspired because I felt very much like her story sort of mimicked my own in discovering my love for wildlife and nature. And so Hemani, visited a nature park in 8th grade, and that really kind of sparked her interest and passion for wildlife. So she started volunteering and getting involved in any way that she could. She received a bachelor's in forestry, and she just continued to grow her career from there. She received a master's in environmental sciences with a specialization in natural resources management, and did her master's thesis on population status of vulture species in Doon Valley, Uttarakhand in India. And after that, she actually traveled to the US and she worked for Earth Corps in Seattle for a while. She had the opportunity that the 4 of us at HawkWatch have had many times, which is the joy of seeing turkey vultures in the wild, and that really just engaged her love for vultures even more. So Hemani is currently working for an NGO in India working on raptor conservation programs. And we're really excited to fund her project looking at the red-headed vulture. It's a critically endangered species. In India, it's being threatened by poisoning and infrastructure from energy growth. And so she will be monitoring the population of red-headed vultures in northern India, trying to help understand how to mitigate collisions and electrocutions on power lines, just something we're really familiar with at HawkWatch and in the US, and also has a really robust component for local outreach. As some of you may know, Evan has done extensive research on vultures in Africa, and we've learned through that project that local outreach and working with local communities to understand the value and importance of vultures in the greater ecosystem has a significant value. So we're incredibly happy to support Hemani in this research and excited to see the outcomes that she shares with us.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Nikki, and congrats, Hemani. We're really excited about your project and to work with you. All right. And then the last recipient of the grant is Veronica Danzo Attaguru. Veronica is a project officer at the Institute of Environmental Nature Conservation, which is an NGO based in Ghana. She's been awarded $2,500 for her project, Population Assessment and Conservation of the Critically Endangered Rupel's Vulture in Mole National Park and Fringe Communities of Ghana. Veronica's project will aim to establish a population estimate for the Rupel's vulture in northern Ghana while identifying important breeding and foraging habitat for this species. This is, I think, really excited. I've been working in Africa on vulture conservation for many years, and a huge knowledge gap on vultures in Africa is specifically kind of Rupel's vultures in West Africa. There's very little information, and Veronica's project will target what is likely a very highly threatened population in northern Ghana that we know essentially nothing about. And so being able to kind of assess this population for the first time ever, then to kind of work to try to identify foraging habitat and breeding habitat for the species. And then Veronica's project also has a really robust and important component that will be working to identify and assessing local community knowledge on the species, both kind of perceptions and beliefs of the species, as well as potential threats. So we're really excited about this project and think that it has the potential to have a really important contribution on vulture conservation in Africa. And as many of you may know, vultures are highly threatened in Africa. They're one of the highest priority species groups for conservation. So we think that this project can really have an outsized impact. And we're so excited to be working with Veronica and to learn more about vultures in Ghana. Okay, so with that, that's essentially the conclusion of our presentation. I want again to thank HawkWatch International's donors and members for supporting this grant initiative, including the Circle of Life Fund, which helps support this grant. If you are interested in helping to support and grow this initiative, please contact our development director, Kirsten Elliott, at the email address provided here. And if you have any questions about the grant or HawkWatch International's international program, please feel free to contact me directly at the email address on the bottom of the screen. We will be providing, we hope to be providing regular updates on the progress of these 3 projects over the coming months and years. So please stay tuned to our social media or our mailing list to hear more about it. And we also hope and plan to have some future presentations by the grant winners too when we near completion of their projects. So please stay tuned. With that, thanks so much for attending, and we wish the very best of luck to our award recipients.
Yeah, thanks for that, Evan. And I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. We'll wait for just a moment in case anyone has any questions about the grant or the process and how we selected these folks. But I do just want to read off a comment from Sandra in the chat. Said, I am thrilled to see so many leading women in raptor conservation. This is inspiring for me too. And I can't, say how much that resonates for me to see 3 women winning these awards this year. It's really exciting.
Kirsten, Sandra also asked in the question and answer if we'll have a new open grant session this year, and if so, when would that be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Sandra. So yeah, the plan is to make this grant initiative annual. So we'll be having another call for proposals roughly following the same time as last year. So I think towards the end of this year. Given that this was the first time ever that we've both put out a grant call and administered a grant, we're going to be making some tweaks and hopefully some improvements on the process. And that could involve a bit of a shift in the timeline. But generally, we expect November or December of 2021 to be the next deadline. And in the coming couple months, we'll be putting out a new call for proposals. And then, so yeah, we plan to make this annual, and we look forward to more proposals and to funding more projects in the years to come.
We hope you will keep an eye on it and consider applying. And Meg also points out that today is International Day of Women in Science, so this is really, really fitting. Had one other question just on a technical note about sharing the recording, and we will be posting this on our YouTube channel in the coming days, and so you'll be able to access it there as well. Any other questions? If not, we will let you go back to your days. Thank you again for joining us for our inaugural announcement of the grant winners, and thank you to everyone who made this possible. We really appreciate you investing in these conservationists across the globe. Have a great day.